All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daily Recap, February 3rd, 2018. I'm Breaky CBK, of course, and we got plenty more to talk about once again today. First things first, as far as don't want to go over the results of events just yet, because obviously we got a couple going on, including the one that I'm at here for WESG. But I want to lead off today where normally I don't do this, but again, I feel like it is actually pretty big news, and so it's worthy of taking the lead, I guess. So there have been some roster changes that have taken place recently. Of course, a big move yesterday, Lil going to Na'Vi, and as a result, Roger going to Virtus Pro. You know, there was the interesting idea there as how that ultimately played out or why it played out, but speculation coming out. But ultimately, it was just, a trade that happened, and, better for both teams, perhaps, you could argue, and in the end, it is what it is. However, today we've got a little more updates on the situation, and what I'm looking at right here is actually TLDR, essentially, of a interview that Lil did with a website here, Champion AT, or Champion at, I guess you can pronounce it as. Anyways, on the interview, here's kind of a summary of the interview of how it went, and essentially it pretty much goes to, this was unexpected for Lil especially, and there's a couple of interesting lines here where he thinks that no one in Ramses just thought that Roger was better than him in every aspect, which is very interesting. He thinks that it'll actually be harder for Virtus Pro now to overcome losses because he was always quote-unquote shield protecting their teammates. So it's safe to say there maybe was a little bit of bad blood behind the scenes. And whenever a big move like this happens, that's something you just have to speculate, right? Because this is a team that's just been so strong for the longest time now, one of the longer-standing teams with the same 5 players especially. So no doubt it was a big surprise. So again, now that more information's coming out, getting a little bit more understanding of why this trade eventually happened. But and then I find it very interesting in the end how he makes a point that he's still going to continue to roast people on Twitter, as Lil tends to do, but he's now will roast VP for their mistakes. So it's creating quite a bit of an extra rivalry. I mean, Na'Vi versus VP has obviously always been a pretty big deal in itself for the CIS region, but now when they play next time, there's going to be a lot of hype surrounding that matchup, and especially Lil versus his old team going on there. So he did apparently also try to reach out to teams like OG and Liquid, seeing if they possibly were interested in him as a player. They ultimately responded to him. They wished him good luck, but they pretty much told him that we're full, of course. Again, not surprised about that. Those are some big-name teams. And just because Lil has a successful history doesn't necessarily mean there's just going to open up a spot for him, especially so close to the deadline. To have to make such a knee-jerk reaction like that at the very last second would seem a little bit ridiculous for some of these big-name teams. So he's with Na'Vi. That's how it's most likely going to stay at this point. Interesting update on Na'Vi as well. It was announced today that Seneko leaves Natus for Vincer. He was apparently actually cut from the team. It wasn't a decision of his. It was more of the team decided it was best to move on from him. His contract with the team apparently doesn't even expire until February 28th, according to this article here on the Na'Vi website. But so he's still going to be a part of the team in the sense of under contract. But after that, he will become a free agent. In the meantime, Na'Vi is considering offers if teams are willing to, buy out the contract or whatever. So the new 5th is apparently going to be announced on February 5th. So in a couple of days from now, there are a couple of players that they're trying out, no doubt. I have heard some rumors that LeBron Dota is one of the names that we should be looking out for. Maybe not necessarily the biggest name player, but one that's a consistently solid player in the CIS region. So you can look for him as a possibility, but we don't know for sure who that is going to be. But yeah, interesting update there with Na'Vi. So Na'Vi going through some last-minute changes as we enter the official roster lock coming up right here within this next week, I believe it is. So more roster updates before we get into the results. It's official. VGJ.Storm has disbanded as a team. Well, okay, I should put it this way, actually. The organization released the team. The team itself did announce that they are still going to stay together, and they're actually going back to the name that we've known them as before, is GG. Kind of a funny name to say. But the 5 players there, you're looking at BSJ, Monkeys Forever, Flea, Stan King, and they've actually picked up KVH as their current active 5th. for this new ISGG team. But again, VGJ.Storm did make it official. KBBQ, of course, the manager of the team, he goes on to say here, it's a great journey and everything, but in the end, it just simply wasn't going to work out. What myself and VGJ don't intend to miss for long is competing in professional Dota. It won't be long before we find people who share our commitment and values and we go to war again. So it sounds like that VGJ is still interested in acquiring a North American team, perhaps. I'm not surprised by that, especially considering Jeremy Lin and him being behind this ultimately, him being involved with the NBA, and I'm sure he would love to have a team in America as well as in China, of course, being part of that organization with VG Gaming. But as of right now, obviously the team does not have an official roster is what it comes down to. So those are the roster updates. It seems like every day we're getting something here as it's getting closer and closer to that deadline, understandable. Now let's start taking a closer look at the results that have been taking place for these events that have been going on. Of course, starting with Star Ladder, we do have our top 4 teams that we know, Group A and Group B, playing out. In the end, it's just about as I predicted. The one difference is that Mineski moved on out of Group B. I actually predicted Kingwin to go on, and boy, was that a wrong prediction. Not only did they not beat Mineski, but they lost to Empire, actually, 2-1 in their best-of-3 series against them in Group B. Empire actually almost beat Mineski then. They lost the first game. They won the second game, though, to force the third game. In the end, Mineski did take the third game, however, to advance onto the top 4 and claim their share of not only the prize pool, but, of course, the all-important Dota 2 Pro Circuit points. In Group A, Complexity did defeat Infamous 2-0. They then came up short against LGD. Taking a game off of LGD, I gotta say, even that in itself, I'm a little bit surprised at. Again, going into this Complexity, they were a little bit flat with their recent performance at the ESL Genting event. And LGD, on the other hand, I feel like has been looking pretty strong with this new roster, picking up the new players in Chalice and X-Nova, excuse me. But in the end, they come up short. Again, still a little bit surprised that they took a game off at least, and that is, as a Complexity fan, a little bit reassuring to me that, okay, maybe things are all right. But as I did expect, LGD, the second team to move on out of Group A with Liquid. So we have our playoff matchups. It's going to be Newbie versus LGD and Liquid versus Mineski. Single elimination. The winners go on to play a best-of-5 grand finals. Those are going to happen later on tonight with Star Ladder, of course. So it's going to be another long day for Star Ladder. 2 best-of-3s into a best-of-5 potentially, as far as how long the day is. Predictions. The safe prediction is Newbie versus Liquid, at least in the grand finals, and I don't see any reason why it would be different here. We just got it with ESL 1 Genting. Both of these teams are still looking so hot as of late. There's no reason to believe that's not going to be the case. So I'm going to go with a safe prediction. I'm going to say Newbie versus Liquid in the grand finals. Who wins that? Let's flip a coin. I don't have a coin on. Actually, I might have a coin on me. Let's see. Do you have a coin on me? There we go. I got a quarter. All right, heads will choose Newbie. Tails will choose Liquid. Let's see. What did I say? Tails, Liquid? Did I say that? You know what I said.
Heads Liquid, Tails Newbie?
Tails Newbie, sure. I think I said Tails Liquid, actually. It doesn't matter. It really, yeah, who knows what's going to happen in that matchup is basically what it comes down to. It's going to be best of 5 again. Hopefully it'll be a great one. We obviously, again, just came off of the one with ESL 1 Genting, and that was an epic best of 5 going in the distance. That's all I care about. In the end, I'm going to say Liquid. It's Liquid's turn to win. Newbie just won the last time. Of course, Liquid before that in TI7 final. So let's say Liquid again this time around as far as that prediction goes. And then the one last event to update again, being here in Kiev. This is what we're casting, the WESG North American and South American Regional Finals. Both of them are now into the playoff stage as of today. The first series, in fact, for South America is currently being casted by Grant and Lacoste as I'm doing this recording. So we have the results for North America. As expected, the 4 teams advancing on, 2 of the USA teams, 2 of the Canadian teams, Mexico, Ecuador, and then, of course, Blue Pikachu ended up forfeiting. They were the teams that are now knocked out. So those 4 teams advancing on to the main event, but they're still playing for a prize pool of $37,500, I believe it is, yeah, including $20,000 up top. So still some good money on the line. And it actually matches up to where both American teams are going to play, so Team USA versus Leviathan, and then Team Canada going to be playing Play for Fun in those semifinals. Again, predictions, I assume it's going to be Team USA versus Canada in the finals. And then I want to say Canada is going to come back in the finals and take that and be your first-place team out of North America. But, we still got a little bit of ways to go. In fact, that's going to be on day 4, so a little bit early on the predictions there, I guess. But I don't expect anything different from those results. Although I will say, especially Play for Fun, that they've been surprisingly pretty damn good. So upset is potential there. But, again, all 4 teams are ultimately already moving on to the main event, and so I'm sure they're all pretty excited for that. And then there's South America. Pretty similar as far as the expectations go. However, only 3 of the 4 teams advance on to the main event. There is still going to be the playoffs, though, where 4 teams made it there. The only team not making it was Argentina, actually. They ended up forfeiting even 2 of their games, so a little bit sloppy with the South American region. But Team Unknown out of Chile, they advanced on, as well as the 3 big dogs out of South America in this event. Pain Gaming, Team Peru, and SG.Sports, of course. The matchups, we're looking at Pain Gaming versus Team Chile, actually currently being played right now, and then Peru versus SG.Sports. Pain Gaming, no doubt, should easily 2-0 Team Chile. And then Peru versus SG.Sports, Gareth and I are going to be casting that later on. I don't know what to expect with that, but a 3-game series is definitely possible in that one. If I'm not mistaken, Peru beat SG in the groups. Yeah, they beat them in the first game earlier on. Not that that says much, just a best of 1. But again, I did have a lot of high hopes for Peru going into this event in the first place. So sticking to my guns right there. I'll say Peru takes that over SG.Sports. But we'll find out later on today how that shapes up. But so that's the South American region. Again, tomorrow's match, though, 3rd place especially, is very important. So the losers of these semifinals will play in a 3rd place match, and that will determine who then goes on to the main event, unlike the North American region. So South America, only 3 of the 4 teams move on. So that 3rd place match going to be a pretty big deal. And that will be casted in tomorrow's coverage for WESG here. All right, I believe that takes us to the conclusion, though, of today's Daily Recap. So as always, guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook all over the place. And I will see you guys next time. But be sure to check us out on the WESG coverage if you would like as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.